Welcome back to Switch to Linux, and today we want to talk a little bit about Firefox's approach to AI. And I think that they're doing it, if you gotta cram AI in something, I think they are doing it the right way. The question is, do you have to cram AI into it? Now, there's one of the articles I read, and I can't remember which one, I didn't actually mark it down, but somebody had a really good comment in there that's like, hey, Firefox, and I've kind of said this before, Firefox need to have a full-blown browser and a stripped-down version with none of the bloat crap in it. It would be really awesome. In fact, they do that on mobile. They have a mobile version, depending if you get it from the Play Store or something like F-Droid. It's either called Firefox Focus or was it Firefox Focus is one name, and Firefox what is it? I can't remember, but there is a Firefox for Android that is completely stripped down. They named it differently depending if you download it from the store or from the open source repository for some reason. That version of Firefox does not have geosensors. It doesn't have, you can't track your GPS. It doesn't have access to microphones and things. So you can't use it for anything online that needs to know your geolocation or hear something or interact with the video implications, which is kind of exactly what I would like. That's why I install that on my phone to use as a primary browser that has nothing else in it. And then I can install the full Firefox browser if I happen to need the location data, microphones, cameras, or things like that. Well, I think that they should do the same thing with a computer. They should have a version of Firefox that just is nothing but what you need to critically browse the web. No notification system, no geolocation system, no AI tools, no camera or microphone stuff. Now, the challenge, of course, with this is too many people will hear about this browser and then they get on there and they try and get on some Jitsi call or something. It just doesn't work. It's designed not to work, for your privacy, to make sure some scammy site can't be accessing your cameras and microphones when you don't know it. That's why they need to do that. Now, they are not doing that approach, but what they are doing with AI inside of Firefox is they are adding a way to use AI optionally, opt-in only if you need it, and unlike many of the other browsers out there, they're not locking you into a single AI. So I think Brave also allows you to switch it, although Leo's their default. Of course, Bing wants you to use their AI systems, and Perplexity, their AI systems, and, OpenAI, their AI systems, obviously. But what Firefox is doing is there's two approaches. One is already rolled out, and this is the AI sidebar, where you can go in there and you can opt into it, and it's always opt-in. And when you opt into it, it will download then the models and what you need to connect to those models. And then what it will do is you can choose which one of those AI models you want, which ones you have accounts for, and that way the AI of your choice is embedded in the browser. That is a much better way of doing it. Now, I still am not a huge fan of that because I'm not going to be using AI in the browser anytime soon. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll see if it can work with Ollama or something, because I've been experimenting a little bit with that. I'll do a video about that after I've had a chance to play around with it a little bit more. If I can plug in my own Ollama server, maybe I might find an interest in that. I don't know. But with that being said, though, I don't want there to be any code in there that I am not going to have any interest in. This is why I want them to release a version of Firefox without any AI in it at all. But they are indeed. And again, they're adding another means of doing AI. And this was just released a couple of days ago. And what they're doing here is another optional way is, before you had your basic window and then you had your private browsing, they're adding a third option to that tab now, which is an AI window. And in the AI window, you will have access to a lot of those either agentic or AI supplemented ways. It's the way that Perplexity is trying to do their browser, and Bing is trying to, Edge is trying to work in their stuff, and Chrome is trying to cram some AI crap in there now. And so there's a lot in here that we can look at. Now, what Firefox is doing is it's still explicitly opt-in. You have to specifically select it. But when you do, now you have all of these browser capabilities, but you still can use Firefox without any of those other capabilities. Now, again, this is the best way of doing this approach. I do like this. I wish they would have a version without any of this crap at all, because I'm not going to use it. However, if you are going to cram it in, they have actually put it in the best way possible. So this one here, they're talking about on the Mozilla blog. They wanted to reach out about it. The user choice and openness are their guiding principles. That's because we believe AI should be built like the internet, open, accessible, and driven by choice. Users and developers helping to build them can use it as they wish and help shape it and truly benefit from it. I think the problem here, though, is that the underlying assumption is people want AI. It's just you want to choose which AI you use. I appreciate the offer of my choice. However, what if I am never going to use any of this? Why is all this bloated code in my browser? That's why I think people are calling to say, hey, why don't you separate this out? And then one person objected to that, saying, well, it's already hard making a browser. Now you're just going to make two. No, we're just saying, here's a core browser, and here's a browser with all this stuff. An alternative is make the core browser, develop the plugins, and have all this AI stuff embedded with plugins instead, which is another decent way that you could do this. They say in Firefox, it'll be locked into one ecosystem or have AI forced on your browsing. This is why they're making all of the AI features opt-in instead of opt-out. You decide when, how, or whether to use it at all. So again, their approach is actually a good approach. I do like the way that they are doing it. So now they're basically calling out, asking you to sign up on their newsletter list to get updates. I would probably advise you not to do that. Why don't you wait until they release it? That way you're not giving them all of that data, in which case they're not a privacy company you think they are. They're not like, oh, we hold your privacy with highest regard. No, you read the privacy policy. Just like everybody else, their privacy policy is not how private they're going to be. It's disclosing how they're going to violate your privacy. So, you know, this is the browser that's trying to build in the same type of flock type federated cohorts that Google was trying to implement. You know, it's all anonymized, until they de-anonymize it, of course. So they say they were building about a browser, not an agenda. This section here basically talks about having your choice, what type of AI you want to use. And the way that they're doing it, though, is nice in that you have a browser without any AI, but within the same browser, you can choose to turn on an AI-enabled mode. And so that is actually not too bad. So why is investing in AI important? Of course, because, AI is everywhere. AI is the future. AI is going to lay us all off and take over the world. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's ignore that part. Now, I did want to illustrate the Verge article that kind of talks about this. Does have some of the comments, just some of the comments that are like, hey, I don't want this. And this is what Firefox would be wise to look at. Is, I use Zen browser. Hopefully they don't bring AI garbage into that browser. It doesn't seem like they will. They've disabled the AI sidebar when that was released. So using Zen seems like a good option. So if you're looking to avoid AI, Zen. And Vivaldi has actually taken a stance against AI. Now, I'm not a fan of Vivaldi. I do use it for one of my web uses, but it's not my favorite browser. My big problem with Vivaldi is, number one, there are elements of Vivaldi that are proprietary. In theory, that's just the theming, but it's just theming. Make it open source. Let us know what your proprietary themes are doing, please. Secondly, they're trying to cram so much bloated crap in there. Okay, I do not need my web browser to check my email on an SMTP platform. Okay. I mean, it's one thing if I use my web browser to go to Gmail or something, but they're trying to actually embed an email client in the back end of the browser. It is useless nonsense. Stop it. They're trying to do all sorts of weird stuff like that. That's why I'm not a fan of Vivaldi. But if you don't care about any of that kind of stuff and you hate AI, Vivaldi, they've taken an anti-AI approach. So that would be another browser for you. There better be a salt, burn, and banish this feature to the land of wind and ghosts button for this BS. I don't know if this is the intent of this feature or how implemented, but it seems to me like this is a more privacy-focused approach to the AI browser. So Dr. Doog apparently is kind of making the point I'm saying. If this is what I think it is, it sounds like it would start a new sandbox like a private window, allowing you to fence off accounts and things you don't want to. I think so. Like I said, if you have to cram it in, they are doing it, I think, the best way you can do it. I just question, do they have to? This guy says, uninstalling default Firefox off my computer. I'll keep an eye out for an alternative OSS build, which strips out all this horrible slop garbage. LibreWolf, there you go. Also recommend LibreWolf. Just be aware the default Canvas protection settings can break some websites. Yeah, I don't know. I did not look if LibreWolf is an anti-AI approach or not. I'm not sure. I do like the new side tabs, tab grouping ability to pin a taskbar. These are all features that users have requested for a long time. I really wish they would cut off the AI stuff. I have an LLM open in a tab, and that's all I need. I don't need a separate dedicated window. Reminds me of tech companies in the 2000s. Constantly trying to push different useless social plugins and browser toolbars. Yes, I'm sure we've all in the computer tech world have went to a friend's house. They say, my computer's really slow. You open up the browser and half the screen has toolbars. Or you could have just a duck.ai bookmark if you ever want AI for a quick question. Keep it in the web and out of the browser itself. That I agree with. So Sandra77, users interested in updates about AI window product can join Mozilla's waitlist. I would love to see the numbers on how long that waitlist ends up being. A Firefox user since 2024. Okay, maintaining, improving Firefox first-class user privacy-focused browser alternative, including doing the education and advocacy work is necessary to prevent big profit companies from boxing out smaller browser competitions by sorting technical standards, enrich it. What I do not want from Mozilla, some AI thing. No, call me a Luddite, but I use Firefox to avoid this kind of garbage. Can't wait for this AI bubble to catastrophically burst and wipe out everyone who is invested in it. Well, tell me what you really think, Envy Squared. Right. Yeah, and Haleen agrees, fully agree on all counts. I've come to just embrace the Luddite label since, according to many AI boosters, I have even basic concerns about these systems means I apparently want us to go back to the Stone Age. Mozilla, I think it's fair to say that many of us who use your products do so explicitly to avoid this crap. You know, and that's really the kind of ending point I want to make here is that Mozilla is so concerned, like, how do we get our users back? Stop doing crap like this, Mozilla. Stop buying the trend. Stop being a big tech bro. And for Lord's sake, stop paying your CEO like he's a big tech CEO. You're supposed to be this, altruistic company. I understand profit. I'm not saying he should make nothing. I'm saying the CEO makes a lot of money for the fact that 95% of their, was it 95%? I think it's 90% of their money comes from Google. And you got to read the room, Firefox. People use your browser because they don't want the things big tech offers. So when you offer the things big tech offers because you think that's going to drive people to you, you end up driving away the only core of people that want your browser to begin with. And that's really the stance. They need to come out with an anti-AI stance or a no AI in our browser, but we have this wonderful suite of plugins that you can install if you want it. That would be a better approach. That way you keep this extraneous AI code out of the browser because, frankly, I don't need a massive portion of my disk space taken up in a bunch of AI coding for crap I am never going to use. So I do also join myself in calling on Firefox to create a version of your browser like you do on Android, a version of your browser that has no extra features outside that which is critical for getting on the internet. Do that and then give us your giant bloatware browser for the rest of the people who actually want those features. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below.